These tiles? Whack! It's a bit trite to put subway tiles up in their place, but damn, they look good. Guess I'm gonna be a basic bitch for this one. So this project can get a bit hairy, and not the type of hairy I'm becoming, but the hairy I used to be before the male pattern baldness kicked in. Reason is I don't want to blow up the drywall behind as I'm removing tiles, or else this project turns twice as hard and triple as long. This is kind of an oxymoron, considering I'm violently removing these tiles. There are a few techniques I picked up on while doing this. I first started by hammering a putty knife in order to cleanly cut through the adhesive behind the tiles, but that proved cumbersome and very destructive to the putty knife. I then picked up this juicy chisel, which drastically improved my tile removal capabilities. The most difficult part though is getting started, because you kind of need a tile in the middle of a row to have already been removed. In order for that to happen, if you beat the shit out of one with a hammer, you can cause it to crumble apart. I wish I had known that earlier, because I definitely, oh yeah, the drywall here trying to come at the middle of the row of tiles with a chisel. Because patching up a drywall is a pain in the ass, so avoid damage as much as you can. Here, I did not avoid damage as much as I can, and I'm patching the drywall. After all old tiles are removed, you have to make the wall as even as possible. Any unevenness you leave will translate very unfavorably to the tiles you're going to be putting on, unless what you're going for is modern art, in which case knock yourself out. For the goal of smooth walls, I used a bunch of drywall mud to even out all the gouges and damage I made. God, that's a lot of damage. A pro tip here is to get good air circulation going. You'd be surprised how much faster spackle dries when you point a fan at it. Then you smooth out the wall by sanding it, and since I'm fancy like that, I used a random orbital sander with a vacuum cleaner attachment to cut down on the mess. One last step before tiling. Kill the power to the outlets at the circuit breaker panel and let them dangle. Now we tile. I start by cutting a bunch of tiles in half since I'll need to alternate. And by the way, this tool is pure magic and I highly recommend it. It's only like 20 bucks. Then, pretending like I'm icing a delicious cake with adhesive, I cover the wall and then use a fine-toothed trowel to spread it out, filling in gaps. In retrospect, I don't know if it was a good idea to go all in on the wall. The adhesive dries pretty quickly, so you probably have about 45 minutes before it becomes difficult to stick tiles on. Maybe fine here, but not so much if there were tons of difficult shaped cuts to make. Either way, I start slapping them on and putting spacers as I go. I also put spacers on the bottom. I just cut one of the tips off so I could lay them flat. No idea if that was the right thing to do, but I assumed you ought to have grout on the bottom. I finish one wall, then I move on to the next and repeat the process. There's a slight complication here, switches and outlets and all that fun stuff. For these cuts, I use my trusty angle grinder with a diamond wheel. Probably wise to have a ton of extra tiles because I definitely broke like half a dozen tiles trying to make a fancy cut. Hey, check it out, I'm feeling more basic already. Wait however long the instructions say for the glue to dry, then move on to grouting. For this one I'm gonna go a bit off script. I bought this stuff because I thought, hey, it's pre-mixed, it's gonna be easy, I get to use it immediately. Save some time and be a big guy. And nowhere on the packaging did it mention that this had sand in it. Sand is what you'd ordinarily have for big ass gaps, but I don't have any big ass gaps. And this stuff does not take very well to a float. It had the consistency of dry peanut butter. Honestly, kind of felt like smearing shit on the wall. Either way, I bought this pre-mixed stuff out of convenience, then got a sandy surprise in my butt crack, and I didn't even go to the beach. Whack! After it was all shoved into the cracks, it was cleaned off with a sponge. And after wrapping up the job by covering up the small gap between the cabinets and the tiles with some wood trim, it is done and looks fantastic. Very modern, very chic, very basic. In this case, I don't think basic is all that bad, and for a grand total of 80 bucks, I couldn't have asked for a better result. Next time, we tackle this nasty ass floor. Thank you for watching.